Hey friends! Nauru, once known as the richest nation in the world, Nauru now holds the country with the highest obesity rate on the planet. Around 80% of its population is overweight or obese, turning public health into a severe crisis. In the past, within Nauruan society, having a plump body was seen as a symbol of wealth and prosperity. As the economy flourished, people gradually abandoned traditional lifestyles that included fishing and farming. Instead, they began consuming cheap imported foods loaded with fat and sugar. The result of this indulgent lifestyle and unhealthy diet was a drastic drop in life expectancy to just about 50 years, and a dramatic rise in diseases like heart conditions. Nauru is ranked as the most obese country in the world, with an obesity rate reaching 61%. Even more striking, nearly 95% of the population is overweight. Nauru is also among the countries with the highest rates of diabetes globally, with nearly 40% of its people affected. It has no military, no taxes, no capital city, just open-air prisons, and is almost never visited by travelers. Nauru is known as one of the least visited countries on Earth. Nauru receives only about 200 visitors per year. Even during its busiest years, the number has barely reached 1,000. First of all, getting to Nauru is no easy feat. The island is located more than 3,000 kilometers off the northeastern coast of Australia, requiring a flight of roughly 4.5 hours. In fact, only one airline, Nauru Airlines, offers flights to the island on a very limited schedule. The airfare is also far from budget-friendly, and the visa process is also notoriously difficult. Applying for a visa to Nauru can feel like an exhausting journey in itself, thanks to strict requirements, unclear procedures, and lack of transparency. In truth, fewer than 10,000 people have ever set foot on this island. Only the most determined travelers are willing to push through the many barriers to experience what Nauru has to offer. In the 1980s, Nauru unexpectedly became the richest country on Earth in terms of per capita income thanks to bird droppings. Over centuries, seabird guano accumulated on the island, forming rich phosphate deposits. Phosphate, often referred to as white gold, became a steady source of wealth. This income level was 10 times higher than the average per capita income in developed countries. At the height of prosperity in 1975, the government even stopped collecting taxes and provided essential services completely free of charge. By the late 1980s, signs of decline began to appear. By the year 2011, the phosphate mines were deemed economically unviable. The island's main source of income disappeared. Today, Nauru survives on foreign aid, primarily from Australia. Do you know the reason why women here are so eager to meet male tourists? The answer might just surprise you. But before that, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to own a treasure trove of our most attractive information. Many women in Nauru are attracted to foreigners not because of disinterest in local men, but due to the harsh economic and social realities on the island. The women of Nauru, descendants of Micronesians and ancient Pacific voyagers, have a quiet beauty about them: sun-kissed skin, dark, expressive eyes, a calm confidence shaped by tradition, hardship, and hope. Did you know that polygamy was once practiced here? Before Christian missionaries arrived, extended family ties were complex and deeply rooted in matrilineal tradition. And what may surprise you even more is excess body weight. In fact, being larger is still culturally linked to wealth, health, and status. When Nauru's economy collapsed due to the exhaustion of its phosphate resources, corruption surged and unemployment skyrocketed, at one point reaching as high as 80%. In the year 2011, the Australian government made an offer. It would pay Nauru to host a regional processing center for asylum seekers trying to reach Australia. From that moment on, Nauru became known as an open-air prison. According to reports, 442 asylum seekers were held at the detention center on Nauru. Although the camp was officially managed by the Nauruan government, in practice it operated under heavy Australian oversight. The conditions in the facility were widely condemned, with numerous human rights organizations criticizing the living environment as inhumane. To avoid international scrutiny and criticism, the Nauruan government even banned Facebook, citing the need to protect residents. In August of 2016, The Guardian published the Nauru files. The files contained hundreds of reports alleging misconduct and including instances that were almost unimaginable. Although the Australian government had spent billions of US dollars to fund the center, it maintained strict secrecy about its operations. However, whistleblowers from inside eventually spoke out and triggered a wave of public outrage and renewed scrutiny of Australia's asylum policies. What do you think about the harsh living conditions in these open-air prisons in Nauru? Share your thoughts or any information you know with us in the comments below. One of the more unique things about Nauru is that the country has no military. While that might sound unusual, the truth is that Nauru does not maintain any armed forces at all. Instead of investing in a military, Nauru has taken a more practical approach. It relies on Australia for its security and defense. According to a long-standing agreement, if any external threat arises, it is Australia's responsibility to protect Nauru. Not having a military is not unheard of for small, isolated nations. Maintaining armed forces can be extremely expensive, especially for countries with limited resources like Nauru. To ensure internal security, Nauru has only a small police force tasked with handling domestic safety and order. The country's total population is only around 12,000 people, so its internal needs are modest. For Nauru, not maintaining a military may actually be a wise choice. It allows the country to allocate its limited resources to other priorities while relying on a trusted ally for defense. One of the most unusual aspects of Nauru is that the government does not collect personal income tax. This policy dates back to the country's golden age, when massive profits from phosphate mining provided Nauru with extraordinary national wealth. During that time, the government covered most living expenses for its citizens, making taxation seem unnecessary. However, the absence of personal income tax has since become a challenge. As phosphate resources dwindled and the economy declined, Nauru lost its main source of revenue. With no steady tax base to fund public services, the government became increasingly dependent on foreign aid, primarily from Australia. Even without collecting income tax, the government still faces growing financial demands to maintain essential services for its people. What was once a generous and easy policy in times of prosperity has now become a significant obstacle in an era of economic hardship. You might think that every country in the world has a capital city, right? But Nauru doesn't. Instead of having a central city, the role of capital in Nauru is assigned to an area called Yaren, located in the southern part of the island. However, Yaren isn't truly a city. It's just an administrative district that houses the country's key government institutions. Yaren is where the parliament and the embassies of a few countries, such as Taiwan and Australia, are located. That said, Yaren lacks the usual amenities and infrastructure commonly found in a capital city. There are no high-rise buildings or bustling shopping centers. The fact that Nauru doesn't have an official capital reflects, in part, the island's simplicity and unique character. To understand why Nauru is rarely visited, you first have to find it on a map, which is no easy task. Nauru is incredibly remote, far removed from most major civilizations. Its nearest neighbor is Banaba Island in Kiribati, which is still about 300 kilometers away. To reach Nauru, you'll need to take a long flight, about 5 hours. It lies roughly 3,000 kilometers from Brisbane, Australia, and about 4,000 kilometers northeast of Honolulu, Hawaii. With an area of just 21 square kilometers, Nauru is the smallest island nation in the world, located in Micronesia in the South Pacific. Not only is its land area tiny, but its population is also modest, around 10,000 people, comparable to a neighborhood in a big city. Nauru officially declared independence in 1968, becoming one of the world's smallest sovereign nations. The island has no rivers, no UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and no famous landmarks. But that doesn't mean it lacks charm. Though it receives an estimated 200 tourists per year, Nauru is considered peaceful and welcoming. Its mild climate, with temperatures ranging from 75 to 91 degrees Fahrenheit and turquoise waters, left a strong impression on the first Western visitors. In 1989, British whaler John Fan set foot on the island and described it as a pleasant place with a refreshing atmosphere. During the 1960s, intense phosphate mining raised serious concerns among experts about the future of this island nation. Numerous environmental issues cast doubt on whether Nauru could ever be restored. More importantly, questions arose about how the people of Nauru would live under such conditions. Ongoing discussions followed. One proposal involved relocating the Nauruan population to an offshore area near Queensland, Australia. The idea stemmed from fears that rebuilding Nauru would be too costly and nearly impossible. In 1962, Australian Prime Minister Robert Menzies publicly acknowledged Australia's responsibility toward the people of Nauru. In fact, the phosphate mining industry had brought enormous profits to Australia. The Prime Minister also mentioned the possibility of finding an island for the Nauruan people, or having them resettled in one or all three of the nations closely tied to Nauru: Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. However, this idea was met with strong opposition from the Nauruan people. They firmly rejected the relocation plan and chose to remain on their homeland. There are no direct flights from the United States to Nauru. To get there, you'll need to first fly into Brisbane, Australia. That's your gateway to the Pacific. From Brisbane, Nauru Airlines operates 1 or 2 flights a week to the island. These flights are small and often full, so book early and be prepared for delays or schedule shifts. This isn't like flying to Bali or Bangkok. It's remote, irregular, and a little bit unpredictable. And that's part of what makes it feel like an adventure. English is widely spoken. Almost everyone is bilingual in Nauruan and English, especially in government, education, and business. The official currency is the Australian dollar. Bring some cash. Credit cards aren't accepted everywhere, especially in smaller shops and markets. Here's where you need to be cautious. Nauru has basic medical services, including a hospital and clinics. But for serious health problems, surgery, or even advanced diagnostics, you'll need to fly to Australia, often at your own expense. If you're planning to stay more than a week or 2, get good travel insurance that includes medical evacuation. If you flew a drone over central Nauru, you might think you're staring at the surface of another planet. Specifically, the scarred core of an island that once dug up its own future. From above, the landscape is surreal: sharpened limestone pillars, jagged ridges, open pits. Like a forest of coral that somehow grew upside down, then dried. The interior of the island became practically uninhabitable, filled with craters. It literally looks like the moon. This is the aftershock of Nauru's phosphate boom. When guano meant gold, mining crews stripped away the topsoil, ripped out vegetation, and dug into the bones of the island itself. Today, more than 80% of the island's interior is no longer usable. What most people don't know is that Nauru didn't just lose land, it lost natural function. The soil here can't hold water. The trees, once lush, no longer grow. There are no rivers, no lakes, no freshwater springs. Even rainfall doesn't sink in, it slides off and evaporates. This means no agriculture. Locals can't grow what they eat. And without green cover, the heat bakes the island from the inside out. It's one of the only places in the world where nature has truly stopped working. We've uncovered 12 fascinating facts about Nauru. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to support us by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel so you won't miss out on our upcoming exciting videos. Your support helps us keep creating better content. Be sure to check out the next video that's showing up on the screen. I'm sure you're going to love it. And don't forget to leave a comment about which country you'd like us to explore next. We're so glad you're here today. Please leave a comment, like the video to support us, and subscribe for more videos. See you soon!